Something unexpected happened behind the scenes in Baltimore, and now John Harbaugh finally decided to tell the truth. During the loss to the Rams, Cooper Rush was benched and Tyler Huntley took over. But what looked like a heat-of-the-moment decision took a surprising turn after the game. Harbaugh said it was all part of the plan from the very beginning. Except everything we saw on the field tells a completely different story. And that's where the mystery starts. The coach tried to explain himself, but his words only raised more questions. Did he really have a plan all along? Or was he trying to cover up a move made under pressure? From the crowd, from the scoreboard, and from an offense that couldn't get anything going? The truth behind that decision might reveal a lot more than it seems. And what Harbaugh said afterward left both the locker room and the fan base on edge. After the loss to the Rams, Harbaugh faced the media and dropped a line that made everyone raise an eyebrow. The plan all along was to play both quarterbacks. That came right after he pulled Cooper Rush and sent in Tyler Huntley in the fourth quarter, a move that clearly looked like a desperate attempt to shake things up. So when he said it had been planned all along, skepticism kicked in instantly. If that was really the plan, why wait so long to do it? For most of the game, Baltimore's offense was completely stuck. Rush couldn't find any rhythm. Short throws went nowhere, and the offense just felt lifeless. Mistakes piled up. Turnovers kept killing drives, and the defense was doing everything it could to hold the game together. Yet Harbaugh stayed with Rush all the way until the final quarter. Only when the game started to slip away did Huntley step in. And suddenly, the entire offense had a pulse again. That's why Harbaugh's explanation didn't land. It sounded less like an honest breakdown and more like damage control. Nobody questions Harbaugh's football IQ, but the timing didn't line up with the idea of a pre-planned rotation. If it really was a plan, why did the offense have to hit rock bottom before making a change? From the outside, it looked like Harbaugh finally cracked under pressure. Pressure from the score, the crowd, and Rush's struggles. The fans were restless. The entire stadium was chanting for Huntley, and the switch felt inevitable. But when Harbaugh said afterward that it was already planned, it came across as an attempt to sound like he had everything under control from the start. Maybe it was his way of protecting the locker room and avoiding a bigger controversy. And that's what makes this situation so fascinating. Because Harbaugh's words didn't just spark doubt about what really happened during the game. They also raised bigger questions about his decision-making moving forward. And that's where the next point starts to take shape. The contradiction between what Harbaugh said and what everyone actually saw on the field. What makes Harbaugh's explanation so hard to buy is that it just doesn't match the reality of the game. For 3 straight quarters, Baltimore's offense showed zero life. Cooper Rush was out of sync, mistakes kept piling up, and every drive ended the same way. Turnovers, punts, and frustration. If there truly was a plan to use both quarterbacks, nothing the coaching staff did hinted at that. Harbaugh never signaled rotation or gave any indication that Huntley would step in. It all looked spontaneous, not strategic. The numbers tell the story clearly. Before the switch, the Ravens had just 169 yards, 3 turnovers, and 2 failed fourth down conversions on 7 drives. Nothing about that looked like part of plan. It looked like a unit falling apart, desperate for answers. And when Huntley finally entered the game, the difference was obvious. The tempo changed, the ball started moving, and even though they didn't turn it into points, the offense finally had direction. That contrast only made Harbaugh's comments sound even more off. So his post-game statement came off more like a veteran coach trying to put out fires. Saying it was a plan all along shields him from questions about timing, panic, and in-game decisions. It's a way of saying, I was in control, even when the entire stadium saw otherwise. But here's the catch. Players hear those press conferences too. They were on the field. They know what really happened. When a coach's words don't line up with what everyone lived through, it can quietly chip away at trust. The line between strategic explanation and narrative management is razor thin, and this time, Harbaugh seemed to have stepped right on it. And that need to control the narrative leads directly into another part of the story, the pressure from the fans. Because whether by coincidence or not, that planned quarterback switch happened right when the chants in the stands got too loud to ignore. Throughout most of the game, M&T Bank Stadium made its opinion loud and clear. Every missed throw, every stall drive, every turnover, The chants grew. Huntley! Huntley! You could feel the tension building, and it was impossible not to notice Harbaugh's uneasiness on the sideline. Normally, he's decisive and unshaken. But that afternoon it felt like only a matter of time before he gave in to the crowd. When Huntley finally entered in the fourth quarter, the place erupted. Just seeing something different brought the crowd back to life. And while Huntley didn't work miracles, the offense immediately looked more comfortable, freer, more in rhythm, and much closer to the style Baltimore runs with Lamar Jackson. It was exactly the kind of change the fans have been calling for since the second quarter. That's what makes Harbaugh, as we planned it, quote, so hard to believe. If the rotation was pre-planned, why wait until the moment the entire stadium started chanting for it? The timing made it look like a reaction to the crowd, not a tactical decision. Even for those who trust Harbaugh, it's tough to chalk that up to coincidence. In truth, it felt like Harbaugh sensed the atmosphere slipping away and decided to act. Putting Huntley and may have been both a spark for the team and a way to calm the fan base. But when he claimed afterward that it had been planned, it came across as more political than honest. And that instinct to control the story ties directly into the next part of all this, Harbaugh's effort to protect Cooper Rush and keep his locker room from fracturing.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video. But before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
There's another way to see Harbaugh's comment. As a veteran coach trying to protect his player, Cooper Rush got booed, benched, and roasted after the game. Instead of publicly admitting that he pulled his quarterback for poor play, Harbaugh softened the story. It wasn't punishment. It was part of the plan. That's classic coach speak, protecting a player's confidence and avoiding locker room drama. It's a smart move in some ways. Admitting the benching was performance-based could embarrass Rush, create tension, or even split the room. Harbaugh knows exactly how fragile a quarterback's confidence can be and how one public comment can snowball inside a team. By saying it was planned, he projected control and shielded his player at the same time. But that kind of protection always comes at a price. When a coach bends the truth to defend a player, he risks losing credibility elsewhere, with the media, with fans, and sometimes even with other guys in the locker room. Everyone saw what happened. Rush struggled badly. The offense went nowhere, and the switch came way too late to look like a preset plan. Pretending otherwise feels less like leadership and more like damage management. Still, Harbaugh's been around long enough to understand the emotional side of a team. Maybe, in that moment, keeping the locker room calm was more important than admitting a mistake. It's the kind of decision that separates calculated coaches from impulsive ones, and Harbaugh has always been the former. Even so, his explanation left a cloud of doubt that could linger in the coming weeks. And that's what makes the next chapter even more interesting, because now, with Lamar Jackson set to return, Harbaugh faces a new kind of test, proving he still has complete control of the team, both on and off the field. With Lamar Jackson expected back after the bye, Harbaugh enters the week with a tough decision, and it's not just about who will back up his franchise quarterback. It's about trust, transparency, and leadership. After a week filled with questions, the coach has to show he still commands both his locker room and the confidence of the fan base. How he handles this situation could shape the tone for the rest of the season. Tyler Huntley clearly looked more comfortable running the offense. He kept the plays flowing, kept drives alive, and fit naturally into Baltimore's system. Cooper Rush, meanwhile, looked out of sync and struggled to find any chemistry. On paper, the decision seems obvious, but emotionally, it's more complicated, because it involves the confidence of two quarterbacks and the public image of a head coach trying to steady his team. The real challenge for Harbaugh is turning a public controversy into a private, balanced decision. If he rolls with Huntley, it'll look like he gave in to pressure. If he sticks with Rush, people will call him stubborn. It's one of those moments where a coach has to balance logic with perception, performance with politics, without losing the locker room. At the end of the day, that press conference told us a lot about John Harbaugh. He's a coach who wants full control of the story, but right now, he's dealing with a reality that's slipping out his hands. The faith of his team and the city Depends on how he responds. And once Lamar Jackson returns, we'll find out exactly what direction this Ravens team is heading. Not just on the field, but in everything that comes with it. In the end, Harbaugh's comments left more questions than answers. He tried to sound in control, but what we saw was an offense out of rhythm, a restless crowd, and a quarterback change that felt reactive, not planned. Still, Harbaugh remains the same experienced leader, the kind who protects his players and keeps the locker room together, even when the pressure mounts. Now, with Lamar Jackson back in the picture, one question hangs over Baltimore. Who really deserved that backup job? The reliable Tyler Huntley or the struggling Cooper Rush? Whatever Harbaugh decides will reveal how much he values stability over politics. One thing's for sure, after this whole episode, every move he makes will be under the microscope.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.